Everyone is scared of volatility. But if you have a game plan, when it gets busy is when you're going to make money. This is where you have to step your pedal on the metal and trade. People look at trading and think that's the easiest thing to do. It's exciting. It's not exciting, it's hard. People don't think. Thinking about third derivatives, thinking about how things react, things that don't make sense tend to make money. It's not gambling.
Yeah.
Trading is what you're going to do for a living. If you're going to do that, you have to treat it as a business. Find a group of people, create a community. I don't want someone to cheerlead me and say, oh, you're right. I want to hear what I'm doing wrong.
I am super excited for this session. My name is Mike Obucina. I'm the head of education here at Robinhood. And this session is one that I've had on my calendar for a few weeks now. You guys are going to meet a legendary trader, literally. And you saw Guy Adami say that earlier. His name is Mark Fisher, and we are going to go inside the mind of Mark Fisher. Before we do, here's our disclosures. Remember, trading, all this is for educational, informational purposes only. Nothing's a recommendation. We are going to be talking some futures here today, so make sure you understand the risks of futures before trading. I first met Mark Fisher, I first discovered Mark Fisher on May 6, 2010. Does anyone know what date that is? What happened that day in the markets? Anyone? Flash crash, yes. This was the day that about, 15, 20 minutes before market close, the S&Ps just fell almost 1,000 points for no reason and then rebounded immediately. Later that day on CNBC, they brought Mark Fisher on. And if you watch enough CNBC or financial news, everything sort of kind of sounds the same. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice. They brought Mark. He was on the podium at the New York Mercantile Exchange. He had a trader jacket on, and he was trying to explain what was going on in the markets that day. And I heard this voice. I'm like, that sounds different. And at the time, I was a new futures trader. I had been on a futures desk for about 4 months. I was still learning futures myself. I just gotten my Series 3 exam, Megan. So I was, in addition to supporting futures traders, I was trying to learn how to trade futures myself. So when I discovered Mark on CNBC that day, I did a quick search. I found his book, and I went down the rabbit hole. And so when we were planning this conference, I said, I've got to get Mark Fisher here. So I shot him an email. I've never met him in my life. He responded the next day. And so first lesson I want to teach you about Mark Fisher is this guy's got a big heart. He loves trading, and he's going to teach you a lot today. I just only hope you guys keep up. So Mark Fisher, who is he? I'm going to start with this quote from Paul Tudor Jones. We all know who Paul Tudor Jones is, legendary trader. How could we not pay close attention with great gratitude to the vision that one of the most successful floor traders of all time has decided to share with us? And that's Mark in a nutshell. He's generous, he knows trading, he knows markets, and he likes to have a little fun. So I hope we keep up today. Mark has been an independent energy trader for the last 40 plus years, was a member of the New York's COMEX, which is the Commodities Exchange. At the age of 21, was the youngest ever trader in the silver futures pit. And he's also, if anyone's wondering what the hell that sliding door is out there with the little storm armor, he's going to tell us a little bit about that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage founder and CEO of MBF Clearing Corp, Mark Fisher.
Hello, sir.
How you doing, Mark?
Wow, we got a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Well,
Take it away, sir.
You know, Michael, the last 5 years, 6 years, the people I've taught the most have been high school kids. Because my stepson, who I said to him, listen, if I would say to my son, I call him, he's my son, in ninth grade, Lucas, we're going to sit down and I'm going to give you an hour and a half of homework and we're going to spend every 2 weeks and do this. What would you say to me? You know what he would say. So instead, I said, let's form an investment club, right? And we'll have as many kids in your school that want to do it. Dean of the school says, when are you going to do it? I say, Sunday night, 6:30, 8 o'clock. Every other Sunday, he goes, no one's going to come. It's family dinner time. I said, okay, nobody comes. We start the investment club. I think we averaged about 80 kids every Sunday. By the time I got done, we had once we went to COVID, and then we had all these other schools involved, I think we had 600 kids, right? So I apologize if I offend anybody because I'm used to talking to high school students. So although, I'm basically just graduated kindergarten myself because I'm 64, but I probably act like I'm about 14, right? Because
So what do you say? You want to place a trade?
sure. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to place a trade on the Robinhood app, right? Today, for those of you who don't know, again, today's crude oil option expiration, right? So typically what ends up happening sometimes, not all the time, an option expiration, depending what it is, market makers try to pin a strike, right? So right now we're around the $70 level. Gracie, where's Grace?
Let's welcome up Grace. Everyone remember Grace from last night? Grace G, our product manager for futures.
Okay, Grace, are you good to go?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, let's go. So I don't know where November crude is, but I'm guessing right now, based on my phone.
Yeah, let's anyone give us a quote on. We don't have the phone on screen, so we're just gonna voice this for you guys.
Right. Hold on. So November crude is trading.
Do you want to look at it?
I got it. 70.14. Right?
7014.
Right. Okay. So let's place an order
Okay.
to. Matter. You can only buy to buy one contract at 70.10.
7010. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
And then you're going to tell us if we get filled or not. We're going to get filled because they're going to, I'm sure.
Yep.
And the idea being that, again, around option expiration, typically, the day right after expiration, which takes place at 2:30, that's usually sometimes, not all the time, possibly, when you see movements in the market. But for right now, I kind of think the next half hour, barring anything going on in the Middle East or barring there's no economic reports, I would kind of think that we should stay in this kind of a range. So we're going to try to, did we get filled?
You filled.
There we go. What's the first question she should ask me?
What's my risk?
Right. What's my risk? Okay.
Okay.
Where am I getting out if I'm wrong? So let's place a stop order, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we're only trading for 30 minutes. I'm not looking at the phone. Let's place a stop 30 ticks away, so 69.80.
6980. Okay.
Again, if you don't know where you're getting out if you're wrong, you have no business being in the trade to begin with. So the hardest thing to do in trading is to know where you're getting out. If you don't know where you're getting out, right, then you can't make a trade. So many people trade on just, greed, and they want to just get in without even thinking about how much am I risking. Okay, one of the things I talked about actually in this investment club that I did for all these kids, it was interesting, okay, was the fact that understand the expected value and risk. And the homework assignment I gave these kids for the first summer, I said, if you want to come back and participate in next year's class, where I put $1 million of money in the account, we all traded together for, 4 or 5 years, okay, was you had to learn how to play Texas Hold'em, okay? If you couldn't go ahead and play Texas Hold'em, you couldn't get back to the class the following year. Why do you think that is? Anybody? What does Texas Hold'em teach you? Does anybody here play poker?
We got a hand raised right here, Mark.
Yeah. What? Yeah, no, it's all about expected value, about risk versus reward, about probability, statistics, right? Right. And again, in fact, right now, I think there was an article a week ago in the Wall Street Journal about if you want to apply to one of the big firms, Jump or Susquehanna, that are big trading firms. In fact, you can't get through the admissions process if you don't know how to play games like Texas Hold'em, backgammon, Amira's favorite game. Okay, you cannot. No matter if you graduated from Harvard or from any place else, you cannot get through the admissions process. And the craziest thing is, 2 days ago in the Wall Street Journal, they had a whole story about how the average intern at Jump, I believe it is, I may be wrong, the firm, makes more money than the president of the Federal Reserve, an intern. Right. So again, for everybody out here that wants to trade, if you don't know where you're getting out, if you can't manage your risk, if I say to you, well, where are you getting out? I have no idea. That's not the way life works, and that's not the way trading works. People look at trading and think that's the easiest thing to do. It's exciting. It's not exciting. It's hard, right? It's fun. If you treat trading as fun, you have to love it. But if it's fun, it's definitely not for you. Trading is the hardest job because it's 24/7, 6 days a week, maybe more. I go to sleep every night. I wish I should have brought it up here myself. I go to sleep every night at 1 o'clock. I get up at 4:30. I've been doing this since I'm 13. I'm wired that way, right? My sleeping, my lack of sleep, I drink Pepsi, Coke, right? Because that's how I can stay up. But again, it doesn't matter whether you graduated from Harvard, from Wharton, wherever, or anywhere. It's a matter of how much you can manage your risk, how disciplined you are, okay? Do you do things impetuously, or do you actually have a game plan? Right?
All right, Mark, you told me I got to keep you on time.
Yeah, go.
All right, we're so less than 3. We got a trade on. What are we long at, Grace?
70-10.
70-10?
Keep up.
70-10.
Where's our stock? Where's our stop?
We're in Miami. We did this before.
Yeah.
70-10.
Where's our stop?
69.80.
Right.
69. So we've got a 30-cent risk, right, on an oil contract. What does anyone know what that's going to be in terms of a loss? We've got a contract that controls 1,000 barrels of oil. We got a 30-cent risk. We risking $300.
Yep.
So our risk if we get stopped out on this trade is $300. So less than 3, Mark. You've told me this great story once about
Wait. Where's the trading, Grace?
Right now it's trading at 70.29. So
Let's sell it.
sell it. Okay.
sell it.
Hold on. We're gonna read in the register. Okay,
All right.
Grace.
And you just locked in a 190 profit.
Congratulations.
Hey, how about it?
Keep going, Michael.
So you've told me this great story about an ice cream truck vendor.
Right.
Now we've got a Harvard graduate. You've had both trade for you. Who's better?
I want to say Grace is better because obviously
We just made. Well, I don't know. How'd you guys do this?
Okay, I'll tell you the story. So, I was introduced to someone who had just graduated second in his class at Harvard Law School. At the same time, my little one at the time, I've got kids all ages. That's another whole story. But anyway, my little one, we were in Atlantic Beach. I'll never forget this. And I saw this ice cream vendor. His name was nameless. And 50 kids ran up to him at the same time. I want this. I want, brown. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he was going around there. Okay, you want this and this, $3. You want this and this, $4. You want this and this, $6. And he's making change and doing 50 things at once. I said, screw it. This guy's gonna be a great trader, right? Because he can do it. He can do that cashier math in his head like this. So I hired him, and I also hired the kid from Harvard Law School. Sort of like my own. If you see the movie Trading Places, right? I had my own trading places. Who do you think went on to make $50 million? The ice cream vendor.
Of course, truck vendor.
Right? And the Harvard, the second in his class law school, he now works for, I think he's a partner at a big firm in New York, ready? And good for him too.
So
but again, if you can't go ahead and multitask, if you can't process information at a speed, if you're people that are monolithic, think about like a basketball. I don't know. I know Alonzo Moore is speaking here.
He's
right?
coming up. Is Alonzo in the room
Yeah,
yet?
he's not here.
No, but
I would
hear
know.
later.
Think about this. If you have that point guard mentality, right, where you see the whole field and have to make multi-decisions at the same time, as opposed to be a center where you're just going to go ahead, rebound, stuff the basketball, maybe. Who do you think on average is going to be a better trader? Point guard, right? Having to make more decisions, having to be able to see the whole field, right? So the same thing about trading. If you cannot multitask, if you can't do 16 things at once, if you can't go ahead and collect, analyze, decide like this, right? It's impossible to trade, no matter how much information you process. Because think about this. The difference between, is anybody here a doctor? You're a
Oh, we got a doctor in the crowd.
What kind of doctor? ER. Perfect.
Heads up. Watch out.
By the way,
Watch
just out of
out.
curiosity, I was just in the ER, but we'll leave that story out of the thing, okay? Yeah. Down here or no? Where do you?
Yeah, in Stewart.
It was Stewart? I was in Mount Sinai. Anyway, okay, forget that. With that being said, okay, when I collect, analyze, decide, I can do like this. If I'm wrong, by the way, I'm wrong more than I'm right. It's just how I manage my risk, and I try to make more when I lose than when I lose, so it ends up making money. If I'm wrong, what do I lose? Money. If this young man makes a bad decision, someone's dead, right? So obviously, the consequences and the risk versus reward is so out of whack that, again, you have to understand what you're risking and how much time you need to take to prepare to make a decision. Obviously, if you work in the ER, you have to be able to respond to multi-situations a lot, right? If you work if you worked as let's call it a normal doctor, you have a lot more time to make decisions. But I'm sure this young man being an ER doctor has that skill because he couldn't survive in the ER with that. Am I wrong? I mean, how many people work with you in the ER? How many physicians?
2 other ones.
2 other ones. And how many people have come to you? How long have you been working in the ER for?
I just graduated residency
Right.
June, so a few months.
Right. So I'll bet you, again, I don't want to get Megan all excited. I'll bet you that while you're in that ER, you will see people, okay, who can't make it because they can't multitask. If you can't multitask, you can't be in the ER. Am I wrong? There it goes. It's the same thing in trading, right? Okay, except the stakes are a lot different. We lose money, no big deal. Live for another day. He loses something, someone's dead. So again, what I'm trying to bring out here, again, the multitasking skill to be able to trade 15 markets at once. But the interesting thing is, no matter how much you can multitask, okay, because of AI, because of all these computers, because of all the learning machines, in a matter of this time, watch me. By the time I hit my hand like this, how many trades can a supercomputer do? Anybody take a guess? In that period of time. How many? Nah, probably, but somebody to do them effectively between 3,000 and 8,000 trades. That's why you need to use your mind over matter. That's why you need to be the emergency physician in the futures market, right? If you're the doctor sitting there going through, well, let's open up this page of your, it doesn't work, right? That ER mentality is what you need. That ER mentality to be able to be focused like that, to love what you do, right? To care about people, to care about where it may be. That's what drives this young man, right? Otherwise, he'd be, I don't know, he'd be a podiatrist. Oh, wait, if anyone's a podiatrist, I apologize, okay? But you know what I mean. People always ask me how I got started. And in life, I believe that you need to combine opportunity with luck. So when I was growing up, I grew up in the 5 towns in New York, Long Island. See, here's what happens. So I go ahead, I see my neighbor every month come up with a new car. He's just driving around. I'm going, okay. So one day I go ahead, I go bang on his door. I go, hi, I'm Mark. He goes, I know who you are. I go, I live down the block. Yeah. I go, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. I'm like 13. He goes, I go, what do you do for a living? He goes, what do you care what I do for a living? You're 13. I go, well, I like to come work for you. He takes the door, just shuts it in my face. Lucky for me, his middle son, who then became a good friend of mine, was about to be shipped off to another boarding school, okay, for academic reasons. I go back a week later. I bang on the door again. He goes, you again? I go, yep. He goes to me. I go, what do you want? I go, well, I have a business proposition for you. He goes, you have a business proposition for me? He goes, what is it? I said, send your son to my school. I'll tutor him. I'll hold his hand. He will graduate. He does not need to go to another school. He goes, really? What do you want? I said, I want a job. He said, you don't even know what I do. I said, it doesn't matter. He says, okay, first day my son gets kicked out of school, you get kicked out of the job. I ended up 3 days later going to him to work and found myself on the floor of the commodities exchange. A year later, right after a blizzard, I'm on the floor and in the silver ring, and asking questions, being 1,000 miles an hour, and there are these 3 phones on the wall, and I answered one of the phones because we were shorthanded. It was a blizzard, and if any of you know the story of the silver market, this is the start of when the Hunt brothers and other people were trying to take over the market, and it was one of the Hunt brothers on the phone, and that's how I got started. So at the age of 17, 18, I was supposed to go to Brown 6-year med school. I said, I'm not an idiot. I'm going to kill somebody. So instead, I went to Wharton. My freshman year in school, my dad owned a small supermarket. And I go to my dad, I've got all this money saved up from my boss, and I want to open up a futures account, but I can't do it, obviously, because I'm underage. So I need you to do it. You make the decisions, and I'll just advise you. My dad says, Mark, I'm in the supermarket business. I see the money coming in dimes and quarters. We're not gambling. I go, Dad, this is not gambling. He goes, nope. I go to my grandfather. He's from Eastern Europe. I go, Grandpa, I need you to open this account. He goes to me, Mark, you're my favorite, but I can't do this. This is not for me. I go, Grandpa, Dad said no. He said, your father said no? He goes, F it, open the account. So my freshman year at Wharton, I made a lot of money, which I won't tell you, which is I made more money than, let's say, how do I put this, in 1 year, more than, I don't know, what 15 college tuitions would cost back then, total, for a full year. At 21, I started trading on the floor. I wrote my thesis paper because I summer-tricked. I went to Wharton and undergrad at the same time while I was trading. I paid one of my best friends, who was a very good friend of mine. She would go to school, take all the notes. I would come down and take all the tests. I graduated summa cum laude, right? And that's how I got started, multitasking. But if you don't love what you do, it doesn't work. I ended up downtown, the World Financial Center, eventually. I started trading silver. Eventually, I realized you need to go ahead and broaden your perspective. So I ended up getting a trading badge in almost in every pit. So I had what's called a gold badge, so I can go trade wherever was busy. And that's another thing. I would go to, say, gold, crude oil, silver, coffee, sugar, cocoa, whatever is busy. Because what most traders do that I completely believe is wrong is everyone is scared of volatility. Everyone's scared when the markets get busy. If you really think you have an edge, when the markets, everyone backs that way. Oh, it's too volatile. I have to trade less. But if you have a game plan, if you're Bill Belichick, okay, I love Bill Belichick, by the way, so if you have a negative thing, don't say it. But Bill Bell, if you have a game plan, when it gets busy is when you're going to make money. When it's dead, sorry to the ER, okay, you're not going to make money. And what people do is they just do the opposite. When it's slow, they think they have to trade bigger because they feel comfortable, and this is where less risk, as opposed to when it's busy, this is where you have to step your pedal on the metal and trade, right? But psychologically, people don't trade that way, right? So as long as you have points of reference, you know how to stick to your rules, you know what you're doing, you already have the game plan, and you know how to separate out the micro from the macro and not confuse your time zones. That's another whole thing people do wrong. You know, if I'm a short-term trader, I'm trading, 2-3 minute bars, or if I'm trading 20-minute bars, well, that doesn't make me a 2-day trader. If I'm a day trader and if I'm a swing trader trading 2-3 days, then I'm not a 2-minute trader. If I'm a 30-minute trade, that doesn't mean I'm a 30-day trader. And the hardest thing is people don't know what time zone they're trading in. And they think, okay, I'm going to take this trade and create it to that's the hardest thing, is know where you're getting in and where you're getting out. Why am I making the trade? What's the risk of the trade? And what's my time zone? Also, people trade on these machines, like on the Robinhood machine, I'm sure, and everything. They trade stops, like I just did it, price stops. But really, the stops you got to trade are time stops, depending on how long your trade is. If you make a trade and your horizon is, let's say, 4 hours, if it doesn't go your way within 20 minutes, even if you're not losing any money, it's time to move on. Because, if you're trading a 4-minute trade, after 30 seconds, you probably have to, get out if nothing happens. If you're trading for 30 days, it's, be a day or so. But again, you have to know not just your price stop, but your time stop. I've traded so many people, and the biggest mistake they make is that they can't go ahead and recognize what zone they are. Are you a point guard? Are you a long-term trader? You're a short-term trader, right? As long as you can see that whole playing field, as long as you can digest as much information, as long as you can be the financial version of this ER doctor, you're going to be good. But the next thing you need is, if you don't have discipline, you can throw it all out the window, right? The number one reason why people fail is because they don't have discipline. I can't tell you how the number of traders I've had, because we analyze trades by day of the week, day of the month, time zones and everything, and I see traders who work with me who every Monday morning, 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, they lose money almost every Monday. Goes on for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Michael, what's happening to that person?
They're going to get divorced.
They're getting divorced, right? So I called one of these guys, after 6 weeks ago, did you file papers yet? They go, how'd you know? Of course I knew, because you're losing money every Monday morning, right? And then they get into the rhythm the rest of the week, and then Friday afternoon, when they realize they're going to have to go back to their situation, what happens Friday afternoon? They lose money again. I said, it's just cheaper to just end it, right? Again, all this information, you have to be able to take your emotions out of the market. The hardest times for me trading is when I'm emotionally unstable. I'm not Spock, my boss who's sitting here with me, she gets mad at me. Nope, not really a good time to trade. One of my kids is sick, not a good time to trade. I have a big decision to make about my mother, or this, not a good time to trade. You got to know when to check yourself in and check yourself out. If you're in the ER, right, and you've got 7 patients lined up, and you got to figure out which trade to do, which maybe, how do you do it, right? You got to figure out those trades. And the other thing is, in terms of trading, to me, whatever makes sense to everybody here can make money. If it makes sense, how could it be? Then everybody that graduated from Gracie School, every alma mater from Harvard would be a multi-zillionaire. Yeah, there are a lot of people that go to Stanford and Wharton and Penn, but again, trading is about thinking outside the box, thinking what people don't think, thinking about third derivatives, thinking about how things react. Things that don't make sense tend to make money. If I call up and I say to somebody, why is this going up? And I'm wrong. And they say, I have no idea. When someone says to me, I have no idea, I'm happy. The minute they give me an explanation why it's going up, I say, time to get out, right? And again, the thing about that is, I live my life out of the box, being helpful as I can. I came here and we have a product out there called Storm Armor. And I suggest everyone, if you live anywhere near the coast, you should probably go visit. What happened? I live on the water in Miami. 7 years ago, when we were having a hurricane, I think it was Irma, I don't remember one of the hurricanes, my wife says to me, it's going to be a tsunami. I go, there's no tsunamis in Miami. It's going to be a tsunami. We got to go to New York, okay? We got to go to New York. So I left 30 people in my house living because we have a generator. When we went to New York, thank God I did, because what happened was all my tracks, just like in condominiums, flooded, and my house would have been destroyed. And from that, we came up with this idea how to solve one of the biggest condo problems there is, and actually we have a patent on it and everything else, and hopefully we're going to help solve part of this condo crisis that's happening in Florida and other places because of this thing, and it's a simple solution. But again, this is all thinking outside the box. If you think like a normal human being, trading is probably not for you. If you can't go ahead and multitask, trading is definitely not for you. If you don't love it, trading is not for you. If you love sleep, you're in the wrong business, right? If you think it's fun, it's competitive, it's being a financial athlete. I don't need to be Alonzo Mourning, 6'11", right? I can compete because financially, this is financial sports, right? But you have to love what you do. And that's the most important thing. And then you have to figure out how to develop an edge, right? Most people, okay, want to do something, but they don't have an edge. I always ask somebody, what's your edge? If you can't define for me what your edge is, there's no way that you can make it trading. Why? Because trading is 75% mental. If you don't know and feel that you really have an edge, you're not going to have the conviction to stay with your trades. The hardest thing to do with trading is to do nothing. The hardest thing to do is when you have a trade on that's actually a winner, is to sit on the trade and do not, and then just hold on. The hardest thing is when you're doing nothing, is to go ahead when you're doing nothing and be like a leopard in the bush, waiting to strike, as opposed to being involved all the time. I have a group of kids that work for me, and when they first started trading, because they were so crazy, they said to me, well, we need to go ahead and sit on our hands, so, we're too anxious, so we need to hire an in-house DJ. This is true. So they can blast music in this silent-proof room so they could go ahead and trade this DJ music, which would calm them down and stop them from clicking buttons. Again, if you think you have to trade, you're going to overtrade, right? If you can't multitask, you're not going to see low field. You're not going to be able to. If you don't have a game plan, it's not going to work. If you don't understand game theory, if you don't understand how expected value works, how you don't have to be right on every trade. I'm wrong more than I'm right. It's like a boxer. I take a punch every day. Stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, right? It's like taking jabs, but I never get the knockout punch. The key is longevity, and the key is to catch things and let them go. And when you're right, keep pushing. When volatility happens, keep pushing, right? Every day, my friend calls me here when it's dead. He knows how I did. We did basically nothing. The minute it gets busy, because of volatility, one reason, if we don't make money, that's when I get upset, right? Volatility is a trader's friend. Volatility is something to take advantage of. The hardest thing to do is to sit on your hands the other times and just observe and trade very small. And then when it comes down to have the mental capacity, the financial capacity to trade bigger. Good.
Mark, let me give you a break for a second. We talked about this as we prepped for this, being an elite decision maker. What are some of those keys to making those decisions quick, fast, and real time? You have a method for this.
What we do is, again, there are 4 steps: collect, analyze, decide, implement. Collecting information is how much information you can absorb in a day. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I read, on average, 8,000 pages a week. Okay? Analyzing, like this. Deciding, sometimes too fast. Okay? Implementing, I don't click a button. One of my guys or someone on my desk clicks a button for me. How you get comfortable with your trading platform. If it's a Robinhood platform, how quickly you can exploit it, how quickly you can execute on it, right? You should do it in simulated environments to make sure you can do it. You should be able to go ahead, and to plan your day. It's not like you just, the trading market, you get up at 7:30 in the morning, you start trading 8 o'clock. You got to plan. If X, Y, and Z happens, I'm doing this A. If 1, 2, and 3 happens, I'm doing B. The same way, if you're Bill Belichick, he knows if it's 3rd down and 4 and he's up 5 with 6 minutes left, he knows the play he's running because it's on a sheet. Every one of these coaches has a sheet because that's their game plan. You need the same thing in trading. You need to know the game plan and not have to go ahead and limit the number of spontaneous decisions that you make. Because most of the decisions you make are going to be impetuous, they're going to be based on emotion. And those don't usually work out right. The other thing about this is most times when I talk to people and they say to me, what do you know about this? 90% of the time when somebody asks me something, I say, I have no idea, right? The reason why when I go on CNBC and what it may be sometimes, and I say, I have no idea, ask him, right? Because if anybody thinks they know everything, if they're not learning every day, right? If they think they know everything, they know nothing. Someone that thinks they knows everything about everything, right? That's just a sign to me they know nothing. You know what you know, you stay in your lane, and you get good at it. If you're a shortstop in baseball, you're not pitching. If you're a catcher, you're not playing left field. It's the same thing. Everyone thinks you have to be good in everything. You really don't. To be successful, find your lane, maximize it, expand it a little bit of thing, and just stay in your lane. It may sound boring, but it's not. You can always keep expanding that same lane.
Hey, Mark, can I interject for a second? The second point on this slide is probably one of my favorite lines from your book, The Logical Trader. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how smart you think you are, the market can outlast and outsmart you. Can you just expand on that for a second?
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious, right? Okay? Doesn't matter whether you have $100, $100,000, $10 million in your account, right? That's just a function of the size. If you can't go ahead, okay, and recognize that you know nothing, if you don't recognize that the market doesn't humble you every day, that's not a learning experience every day. If you think you know, right? No, right? You're gonna get taken out, right? You're gonna go ahead and keep making the same mistakes. Albert Einstein's definition of insanity is making the same mistakes over and over again. The idea is just to learn, to create probability statistics that make work for you, to give you the confidence to trade. Because a lot of people don't, because they second guess themselves and third guess themselves. And to be able to go ahead when you have a good trade and sit there and do nothing. Just watch, right? Just watch. A lot of the times, the best trades I ever made as a floor trader is I would put on these ridiculous trades. If I told you the size, you wouldn't even believe me. And then, when you're back in the trading pit days, Michael, you would go ahead, and the minute someone would put on a big trade, the whole pit would try to run you in. So what I would do, I would go ahead, I put on a ridiculously large trade. I knew where my stops were. I'd give them to different floor brokers, so I knew I was getting out if I was wrong. I would leave, go downstairs, yes, go get another slice of pizza, walk around the block for a little bit, come back a half hour later, and if I was right and the trade had moved, right, okay, then I would press them to trade bigger. If the trade was basically where I was at that point, I wouldn't do it. I would have the floor brokers get me out because I wouldn't want to get out myself. But again, having the patience to do nothing when you have something on and not go ahead and feel the urge that you have to keep trading. Remember, every time you trade, the machines are much faster than you. They're always going to be much faster than you. What you see, okay, a machine is read and digested much faster than you. So you need to go ahead and use your mental capacity to compete, right? When things happen, when there's like a force majeure, like Michael, what was the most volatile market this year in your opinion in commodities? What? I'll bet you $1 here he gets it wrong. But go ahead, tell me.
In commodities, you said?
The most volatile market in commodities this year so far.
I'm going to say nat gas.
No, okay. The most volatile market was cocoa. Okay? And when the whole crop went under and then they declared a force majeure, you don't think all the HFTs and all the stat ops and everybody was in there? They all got blown out because they didn't know how to deal with a force majeure. They didn't know how to deal with a market that was a runaway train. That every day would drop and rally 300 points. But if you were effective, we never really traded cocoa before. Cocoa was our best performing market this year. Why? Volatility, game plan, know where to get in, get out, embrace volatility, get stopped out, right? But then you hold on to your winners, right? I don't even know what a cocoa bean looks like. I don't even know what it looks like. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is the setup right? Do you have confidence in your ability? Do you know where you're getting out if you're wrong? Do you make sure you execute properly, right? That's all it comes down to.
In my career, I've dealt with a lot of retail traders. I'm a retail trader myself. I never worked on the professional side of the business. Creating a methodology for being disciplined. How is a retail trader who's probably sitting, trading alone or trading on their own, what are some of the ways that you can create discipline and a risk management methodology for yourself as a retail trader?
How many of you have seen Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin? Anybody seen the movie? Of course, you've all seen that movie. Come on. If you are home alone, trading by yourself, in my opinion, you have no chance of succeeding. You need to be part of a community. You need to be part of a group, a network of people that bounce ideas off each other, that go ahead and actually risk manage for each other. If you're sitting there on the North Pole, with your own machine trading, you have no chance of doing that. You need to be able to bounce ideas off, listen to people, other people. No, the best thing I do is when I listen to a group of traders and I say, they're all wrong. That's what I do a lot of good trades is I just know they're all wrong. And why do I know they're all wrong? Fundamentally, what it would be, and now I'm going to set up a risk-reward ratio based on technicals, based on other ideas. Again, I could be wrong too, but again, I know where I'm getting in and getting out. But if I'm sitting here, like I'm an island, if I'm Tom Hanks on that deserted island, no shot. Because so those of you that think that you're going to go ahead and be able to do this by yourselves without having a group, without having a network, right? Without having people to bounce it, it's not going to work. So I would encourage you that out here, if there are, I don't know how many traders are out here per se, is to mingle and meet other people, because guess what? People from different backgrounds, people from different socioeconomic classes, those are the people that train to be the best groups, right? Not people that are all made out of the same fit. People who think alike, they all trade alike. You need people that actually think differently and look at things differently, and approach this differently. But again, it all comes down to one word: discipline. If you don't have the discipline to be able to do this, if you don't have the drive to do it, look at all these like professional athletes. They'll sit there and take 1,000 practice shots a day. Steph Curry will sit there and shoot. If you think it's any miracle that he can shoot from 80 feet and make it, he's done the shot 1,000 times. It's the same thing in trading. You need to go ahead and practice. You need to be with it. You need to love it. Everyone looks at trading it's fun, it's sexy. It's none of those above. It's the hardest thing to do because you're constantly losing money. I lose money in more trades than I make money on. My whole group does, right? But again, how you define your risk, how you go ahead and manage that is what separates the successful people from the unsuccessful people.
So this last lesson, the final lesson, this is a quote right from you, Mark. If you don't manage your risk, it's only a matter of time before you're done. You had an extra line to this, and you probably should have never gotten started to begin with. So when you sit with a brand new trader, how do you instill those risk management principles in them?
Here's the best thing about new traders. I love to take people that know nothing about the markets. If you take someone that has a bias about something, whether it be stock indexes, whether it be crude oil, if they have a bias, inherently they build in their bias into their thinking. If you could take somebody who has no bias, who knows nothing about something, right, and trade with that way, right, you don't have any expectation or bias. You'll trade freer. But again, it comes down to the same thing: collect, analyze, decide, implement. Where am I getting out if I'm wrong? How am I getting out if I'm wrong? What's the liquidity of the market? What time does the market open? What time does the market close? Is the market a spot contract? Is it a forward contract? Right? Am I hedging it with options? Right? Am I trading fixed futures? What type of thing? What happens to the underlyings? All these different things. That collection of information, the analysis part. Okay, well, my analysis is I'm going to risk $10 to make $30. I'm going to risk $20. On the other hand, if you're going to risk 50 to make 50, that trade better be a 2-to-1 trade in your favor. Because between the slippage and the commissions and everything, otherwise you're going to be a net loser, right? What's my time horizon? Well, instead of going ahead and saying trading, okay, I'm comfortable trading 5-minute horizons. Okay, stick to 5-minute horizons for a while. I'm comfortable trading 50-minute horizon. I'm comfortable trading this. But don't mismatch. That's the biggest mistake people make is they mismatch their time horizons and they get lost. They turn a 5-minute trading to a 2-day trade and they get stopped out. A 2-day trader worries about where something is 10 minutes later. He or she gets stopped out. You have to stay, it's a bowling alley. Stay in your lane and don't worry about what the other person is doing. Don't worry about, he just made a lot of money or she just made a lot of money or this. Stay in your lane. And as you get better at it, right, you'll expand your lane. But everybody wants to, run before they walk and that's not the way it works.
All right. Let's give everyone real quick round of applause, Mark. We'll take some questions. Have a seat, bud.
Oh.
All right. We've got 15 minutes for questions. I'm going to ask them a few, but do we have a mic? Do we have a way to do questions there? If not, just literally come up to the front of the stage, scream loud. This is like a trading pit. Don't hold back. And if you have a question, we can't see it, but try to
Actually, if you have a question, just come up.
Yeah.
Grace doesn't bite.
Don't step off. Yeah.
My first question to you, Mark, your son plays baseball. I played baseball my whole life. One of my best coaches taught me a lesson: always be at the same time both a student and a teacher. You're clearly teaching us today. Where do you go to learn? Who do you learn from?
I learn from everybody. I learn from everybody and everything. I go ahead and talk to a lot of senior traders. I'll talk to a lot of people who are much smarter than me. I talk to people that are, different opinions about me. I want to hear what I'm thinking that's wrong. I don't want someone to cheerlead me and say, oh, you're right, you're right, you're right. I want to hear what I'm doing wrong. And again, every day I always wake up and say to myself, I know nothing, right? And that's the best approach to do it, is talk to a various group of people, keep your group of people that you respect, right? Right? And rely on that network. And again, the best trades to me a lot of times is when I network all things one way and I think the other way, and I can manage my risk in that trade. That's typically turns out to be, for me, the best trade.
So when we launch futures here at Robinhood, we are going to have 5 different areas. Grace, can you run through those real quick again? Remind.
Indices, stock indices, crypto, energy, metals, currencies.
So those are 5 distinctly different markets. You are known very much as an energy trader. Let's start there. What if someone in the audience is interested in trading crude or nat gas or gasoline, what are some of those skills or mindsets you need to have going into that market compared to, say, stock indices, which are also fairly popular amongst the retail crowd?
I think commodities, personally, are easier to trade than stock indexes. Why? Because let's say the crude oil market. You have X number of factors that affect that crude oil market on a daily basis, Michael, right? But when you have stock indices, you have so many different variables that affect the market. Buyback programs, Fed announcements,
Earnings.
or something, right? So, and also the mean reversion of the stock indexes, right?
I mentioned at the top of the session, I discovered you on the day of the flash crash. And that thing he did where he said you hit your hand on here and you get 10,000 discrete orders, that was the exact quote he said on CNBC. So that's stuck in there. But when I discovered you, I found your book. I read your book, The Logical Trader. It's an older book, but once again, I can't make many recommendations, Megan, but can I recommend a book? I highly recommend, just for the stories alone. It's a great book to sort of give you a sense of what Mark is saying in terms of creating a methodology or a process to your trading. And particularly in that book, you cover a lot of what we cover today. Have a plan, know where you're getting out if you're wrong. But I talked to you earlier today. What if you're on the right side of a trade? And I think, and this is a personal thing that I'm still working on as a trader, the heart starts racing, you see that profit growing and you're trying to sit on your hands. How do you tell a new trader or someone to kind of make those winners ride and manage your risk as the position is going in your favor?
So again, I'll just pick on you. If you're a day trader, hypothetically, your time zone is 4.5 hours, and you put it on a trade, and you know where you're getting out if you're wrong, stop staring at the machine. Go out, get an ice cream, or go find a Chicago pizza place, or just yell at somebody, or have somebody yell at you, right? Take your eyes off the machine. You don't need to click the button, right? You need to go ahead and allow that trade to perform, and then go back, pick a time thing. Okay, I'm going to go back and look in 20 minutes. Don't look. What's the point? You're just going to go ahead and raise your blood pressure, right? Don't look. You don't have to do it. You don't need to go like this, right? You need to go ahead and let that. Now, on the other end, after 20 minutes, that's a discipline. You're going to go and reevaluate the trade, reevaluate the time zone. If you're a 3-day trader, it's going to be longer for you. Again, but don't stare at the machine. Now, you can look at what you could do is you can also put on your screen, put a commodity on one page, put a different commodity on another page. So when you focus on something, you don't even look at the other things. When you even get your statement, I would advise you to get your statements eventually so that you have one commodity, a separate commodity, a third, so you can keep track of it differently. But if you keep looking, it's just human nature, you're going to just go like this.
Why don't you come on? I got a hand here and I got a hand back here. Speak loud if you can.
I want the ER doctor to come. Come on up.
Hey, we got a
come
mic.
up. I can't even see you.
We got a mic.
I like your hat. What is that?
Good steak.
Puma.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Oliver.
Oliver, welcome.
Oliver, where are you from?
Originally from Canada, but Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
You came all the way here from Michigan?
Yeah.
Did you really only come here for the conference?
I actually did, yeah.
Oliver, are you married?
No.
You didn't come here just for the conference.
Well, okay.
So, no, what's your question?
Okay, so I love trading volatility as well. The only thing is I have a question is in terms of your style. So I try to stay patient and trade when I have huge conviction, right?
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not 100% disciplined, but I try to be.
Why not?
I try to get big returns, and sometimes I get too excited, potentially.
You like to lie down and tell us your problems. Why do you have to go for big returns? I say, what do you mean you like to go for big returns? If you want to go for big returns,
Yeah.
you like to gamble.
Well, that's the problem. So I don't want to gamble.
I'm going to hear all those problems.
Yeah. But the problem is, it's like, okay, you'll see these massive returns from other potential trades or other traders, and you're like, I could have done that too. And if you're patient, you could get those same returns. But the thing is, though, you want to see those same returns every day. But I've done a decent job where I stay disciplined now, and I basically trade within the days I think is good. So like you, when you stated that you don't trade on days that you know it's a bad day in general for you personally, right? Like something happens or whatever. I stay away and don't trade.
Okay.
Or so on and so forth.
But you're telling me that the days that you do trade, you're still going for the gusto too much.
Sometimes.
You can't let that happen.
Yeah. But
So when you trade, do you talk to other people or you just trading by yourself?
no, yeah. When you said trade
Just answer the question.
by myself.
That's a decision. You need to find 5 other people
Yeah.
in Michigan.
Yeah.
Maybe now that you made some new friends in Miami, I'm sure last night. But whatever the case may be, okay? You need to take those 5 people, create a group. So when you get unhinged, they're there to say to you, Alvo, what the hell are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, and then you know what the best thing is? You'd be a terrific risk manager. You know why?
Why?
Because if you saw somebody else in your group doing what you do, you'd be the first person to call them out on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you just can't call yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Because when I see other people, I'm like, yeah, that's not a good trade. I already know.
Right, but you're right. So that's why it comes back to the same point of you need a group.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in Michigan or wherever it may be, you can, again, online, you can find that you need to find a group of people and you can go ahead and rub ideas and also be your own risk managers.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I know I'm going to try to do this. Just tell me I'm an idiot. So I ring the register and I don't think that I'm going to be, owning, Michigan when this is over.
Yeah.
Right?
No, fair enough. But the thing is, though, so the trades I know are not good, they go against me, right? The market moves against me. So I do get out on a decent time. But then there's times I have huge conviction, which is basically I want to know what's your thought process. So if you do a trade and you have huge conviction for it, and like you stated, you take time until you get into the trade, basically, do you double down or no?
No, I will go ahead and I'll follow my game plan. It may mean I'm going to buy some here, some here, some here. But if I have huge conviction, that goes to whether I call them type 1, type 2, type 3 trades. Okay. Type 1 is an ordinary trade. Mm-hmm. Type 2 is a once in a blue moon trade.
Yeah.
Type 3 is once a year trade. And I'll size my trade and my risk based on what type of trade it is. Do you size your trades?
Yeah, I do for the most part. But
But you go. It was wings for the most part.
But because the problem is there's some,
for the most part.
I guess greedy, part of the gamble side.
No,
right?
you can't. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you want to gamble,
Yeah.
there are casinos are licensed in Michigan, right?
Yeah, but I don't like those. Like,
You know why?
why?
Because you can't win.
Well, then there's
Just
not,
take some money, do stupid things in the casino, but when you trade, be disciplined.
yeah.
That's what you should do, right? When I want to do stupid things, you know what I do?
What?
I go to the Hard Rock, right? There I can just have no discipline.
Yeah.
I find that here you go, right? Why? Because at work, you have to be this way.
Yeah.
Trading is a job, right? It's not gambling.
Yeah.
Trading is what you're going to do for a living, right? Right?
Fair enough.
If you're going to do that, you have to treat it as a business. Find a group of people, create a community, risk manage yourself, run ideas, right? Determine if it was a type 1, type 2 trade, right? Figure out a game plan, stick to your game plan. When you have a good trade on, walk away, right? Reevaluate it, right?
Yeah.
Right? But don't gamble, right? Risk assess, yes. Gambling, no. That's a no-no, right? You're too young. How old are you?
I'm actually 33.
What do you mean you're actually? You are 33? You're actually 33. Right? Okay, you're 33, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what there's an off-track betting slogan in New York? It used to be, you used to have all these billboards. Does anyone know what the off-track betting slogan used to be in New York? Bet with your head, not over it. Right? Right? That's what it was. See that? Come on up.
Who we got here?
I didn't even know.
Come on,
I came and said, got the answer right. He's good. Well, okay, come. You can take my seat. Next time on the gamble.
You can take
Oliver, thank you. Thank you, Oliver. Let's switch it out.
Hand it to him.
Yeah.
All right, we got the 3.5 minute warning. What's your name, sir?
Oh, now,
Cal?
my name is Daryl.
Daryl.
Yeah, where are you from?
Welcome, Daryl.
Originally from New York,
Where?
Jamaica, Queen.
There you go. I used to live in Long Island. I used to live in 5 towns. I was
Who's your
I
mic?
was
sir?
neighbor.
Thank you.
We say homie now.
All right.
Homie.
Are you trading?
I'm a trader, yeah.
What?
I'm jumped into trading for Bitcoin,
You're trading Bitcoin.
crypto, yeah.
Okay. Good for you.
Now, I was listening to you say, find a network, community. Where do you go, to Walmart?
I don't know.
How do you get your...
No.
You wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe the amount of people this guy knows.
No, but I'm saying so what you're saying is how do I develop your own community, right?
Correct.
Good. If you go ahead and you go online, okay, and if you go ahead and put out your name to people, if you go ahead, on your, I don't know if you have a LinkedIn profile, I don't know if you have a Facebook page, I don't know what your social media you use.
I don't like Facebook.
I don't need to know. Okay, but you need,
LinkedIn, I'm retired.
Right.
A lot of my coworkers I didn't like on there, so I don't really go on LinkedIn.
but you got to find some way to attract people to say, hi, my name's Daryl, right? It's your name? Right? Your name's Daryl?
That's correct.
Right. Daryl, I'm
Your
retired.
name's Mark.
I think it's Mark. I think it's Mark. I lost 20 minutes ago. But my name is Daryl. I live in, you still live, where do you live now?
I'm in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah, I live in Augusta, Georgia. Right? Good for you. Okay. I'm looking to go ahead and trade Bitcoin with other people that, have a similar type of background. If you're interested, but you'll find people. There are a lot of Daryls out there. They may not be in Augusta, Georgia, right? You'll find them.
Yeah, you just said get somebody with a different perspective than mine.
Yes, and different perspective, but the same market.
Okay.
You don't want someone who's trading, cocoa. What's that going to do for you? Right? You want people that trade crypto, right? On Robinhood, you're going to have a zillion people that trade crypto, right? Right? You're going to find people to trade what you trade, but not the way you trade, right? Find people that maybe some people are older, some people are younger, some people are this, whatever it may be, different time zones. Just create a network, and you'll see over time you'll grow that network. It may mean that you may have to step out a little bit to find those people. It may mean that you may have to be a little more engaging socially to do it. You may have to show everyone your handsome face to do it, but you'll get it done.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
So we got a minute and a half.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up, being a good sport.
Thanks so much. Nice meeting you.
Come on up. Down. All right, we got 1 minute left.
Come on.
Quick lightning round, folks.
I can't see, but maybe that's just me.
That you read about 8,000 pages a week?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have any favorite sources that you want to share with the group?
So you're an oil trader. What do you go
Okay,
to?
so I read on an average daily basis. I read every publication I can get a hand of, from Goldman, J.P. Morgan, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, to the Drudge Report. I read I read all BCA commentary. So I read. Let's see what else I could tell you off the top of my head. I think of different technical publications to determine futures, crypto publications. Right. I read about. I subscribe to. I don't know if you hear before. I subscribe to Meredith Whitney's publication. Okay. The more ideas I can hold, the better off you're going to be.
Thank you. All right, Mark.
But there's a lot of free material out there that you don't need to pay zillions of dollars for to get.
All right. We've got 10 seconds left. Let's everyone give a big thank you to Mark Fisher.
Thank you very much.